Hi, students. This lecture is on creation, contact, and colonization. It's about the early voices in American literature. Welcome to this week's literature, where we'll be exploring some of the earliest written and oral narratives that shaped the beginnings of American literature. This week, our readings include the Iroquois creation story, Christopher Columbus's letter of discovery, Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca's The Relation, and finally, John Smith's A Description of New England. These texts span a wide range of perspectives: indigenous people, Spanish, settlers, and English colonists, and they offer us a valuable glimpse into the cultural collisions that occurred, the ambitions of the colonists, and myth-making at the heart of early America. First, we'll talk a little bit about the Iroquois creation story. This narrative predates European contact and belongs to the oral tradition of the Iroquois people. It presents a dualistic worldview contrasting good and evil, light and darkness, through the story of two twins, the good mind and the bad mind. The key themes that are present in this piece, first, are balance in nature. The twin brothers represent opposing forces, yet they both contribute to creation. This emphasizes the indigenous understanding of harmony and duality. Next, spiritual and physical worlds. The fall of Sky Woman and the creation of the world on the turtle's back connect the sacred and the earthly. Lastly, cultural identity. This creation story reflects values like cooperation, respect for the earth, and the importance of oral storytelling in preserving cultural heritage. While reading, I want you to consider this. How does this creation story differ in tone and in purpose from the narratives that are written by the European colonists that you'll read after this? Next, a brief discussion of Christopher Columbus's letter of discovery from 1493. Written shortly after Columbus's first voyage, this letter was addressed to the Spanish monarchy and widely circulated across Europe. It paints a glowing picture of the newly discovered lands and their potential for conquest and for profit. The key themes here: imperialism and propaganda. Columbus emphasizes the abundance of all the resources there, the docile nature of indigenous people, and the ease of Christianizing them, all to justify further exploration and colonization of the New World. The absence of the other's voice. Indigenous people are spoken about but never heard from. The letter erases their complexity in favor of European ambition. Lastly, myth-making. Columbus constructs a vision of the Americas as an Eden-like paradise, which is ripe for European picking. A discussion prompt here: what might Columbus be deliberately leaving out or even downplaying in this letter? And what's his motive? Third, Álvar Núñez Cabeza de Vaca from the relation, 1542. Cabeza de Vaca's narrative recounts his harrowing journey through the American Southwest after being shipwrecked. Unlike Columbus, Cabeza de Vaca experiences vulnerability and also dependence on the indigenous people that he comes across. The key themes here: survival and adaptation. Rather than conquer, Cabeza de Vaca becomes a wanderer, a healer, and at times a guest in native communities. The cross-cultural contact. He offers a more complex and empathetic view of indigenous life, although it is still filtered through a European lens. Lastly, transformation. His journey leads to a subtle critique of colonial cruelty and an appreciation for indigenous knowledge. Consider this while reading. How does Cabeza de Vaca's experience contrast with that of Columbus? What insights do we gain when the explorer becomes the outsider? Lastly, John Smith's from a description of New England written around 1616. Smith's writing blends personal adventure with promotional material that's meant to entice future settlers to the New World. He imagines New England as a land of opportunity and also natural wealth. The key themes in this piece: colonial boosterism. Smith uses persuasive rhetoric to sell the New World to potential colonists, often exaggerating its bounty, what's available. Work ethic and masculinity. Smith promotes a vision of English industriousness and self-reliance, contrasting it with what he perceives as the idleness of indigenous people. And then there's this manifest destiny light. While the term didn't exist yet, Smith anticipates later notions of Anglo-American entitlement to land and to resources. While reading Smith, consider this. What strategies does Smith use to sell New England? And how does his tone compare to that of Columbus? In conclusion, these are threads of contact and conflict. These 4 texts for reading this week reveal different motivations and worldviews at the start of the American literary tradition. We have creation and memory from the Iroquois, conquest and conversion from Columbus, survival and adaptation from Cabeza de Vaca, and promotion and possession from Smith. As we study these pieces, keep asking ourselves, whose voices are being heard here, and whose voices are being silenced or not heard? How do early narratives shape our understanding of American identity, land, and belonging? Enjoy your reading.